بسم الله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي رب يسر ولا تؤسر وتمم بالخير. In the first part of the lesson, we have seen that when a singular noun is used as mudaf, it loses the tanween. For example, kitabullahi. So we can see that kitab doesn't have tanween, it has dhamma on it. And similarly, we have seen that when a dual noun is used as mudaf, then also the noon of muthanna is also dropped. So we say binta Hamidin, two daughters of Hamid. So instead of saying bintani Hamidin, it will be binta Hamidin. In this part of the lesson, we will see that when a sound masculine plural, jam'u mudhakkar as-salim, is used as mudaf, it also loses its tanween. We have kalima ibnun, and the plural is banuna. This is a jamu as-salim, sound plural, and we know that sound plural is always on the pattern of una, ina. And the second plural is abna'un, which is broken plural, jamu taksir, which is on the pattern of af'alun. Whereas we will discuss only about the jamu salim, the sound plural, because only this one loses the noon. Here it doesn't have noon, so it will not be considered as part of mudaf ilayh construction when we talk about dropping the noon. Now, when we talk about the regular construction, marfu is banuna, of ibn it will be banuna, and we say that it is marfu bil waw, and when it is mansub it will be banina, and when it is majroor it is banina. So it will be mansub bil ya and majroor bil ya. Banuna, banina, banina. When it is light, and we know that it is light means that when it is used as mudaf, it will lose its noon. So when it is marfu, it will be banu, and when it is mansub, it will be bani, and when it is majroor, it will also be bani. Let's look at the examples from the Quran. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. لا إله إلا الذي آمنت به بنو إسرائيل. Now we can see here Banu Israel. The noon has been dropped, so it was basically Banuna Israel, and because it is marfu, that's why it is used as Banu. And we know that when a sound masculine plural is used as marfu, it comes with wow. So it is Banu Israel. Then we have Ya Bani Adama la yaftinannakum ash-shaytan. Ya Bani. Okay, now here Bani, is it mansub or majroor? Because we know that mansub and majroor, they are the same, bani and bani. It's very easy to figure out. We have learned earlier that in mudaf ilayh construction, as we can see here, we have Rabbul Alameen. So in mudaf ilayh construction, when we have harf nida ya before it, then mudaf changes into nasb form. So it becomes Ya Rabbal Alameen. It was earlier, it was Rabbul Alameen, but when we added harf nida ya to it, then mudaf has changed from Rabbu into Rabba, and this is a fixed construction that whenever we use ya with mudaf ilayh, it becomes Rabbal Alameen, so it becomes mansub. Similarly, we say Abdullah, but when we use ya before it, it becomes Ya Abdallah. Now we can easily say that here Bani is mansub. Why it is mansub? Because we have ya before it. And Adama is mudaf ilayh, and it has fatha. Why? Because we know it is mamnu min as-sarf. It is majroor, but we know that mamnu min as-sarf does not accept kasra. It will be marfu with dhamma, and mansub and majroor will be with fatha. إِذْ قَالَ لِبَنِيهِ مَا تَعْبُدُونَ مِنْ بَعْدِي. Now here it is easy to figure out that bani here it is majroor. Why it is majroor? Because we have li, which is harf jar, and after harf jar the noun is always majroor, as we can see here. So that's why it was basically banina, and the noon has been dropped, so it has changed into bani, and then we have added to it the attached pronoun, and that's why it is لبنيه. إذ قال لبنيه ما تعبدون من بعدي. So when it is marfu, it will be banu without, when it is mudaf mudaf alayh, and when it is marfu, it will be banu, and when it is mansub and when it is majroor, it will be bani bani without the noon. Now let's continue with the lesson. وَكَذَلِكَ, and similarly, تُحْذَفُ is dropped. What is dropped? So this is fail, and then we have to look for the file. In fact, this is not file because تُحْذَفُ is passive. So this will be naibul file. So naibul file will be noon. تُحْذَفُ نُونُ, noon is dropped. Noon is dropped of what? تُحْذَفُ نُونُ. So noon is also mudaf ilayh. Mudaf, similarly, jam'i is mudaf ilayh, and al-mudhakkari, as-salimi are the two sifas of jam'. وَكَذَلِكَ تُحْذَفُ نُونُ جَمْعِ الْمُذَكَّرِ salimi, and similarly, the noon of sound masculine plural is dropped. تقول, you say, Muslimu al-Yabani, Muslims of Japan. One more thing we need to notice over here is that when we use banu in the regular construction, we will not add alif to it. But when we use it in the Quran, or when it is used in the Quran, then this is the text of the Quran, it will always take extra alif to it. So this is basically an extra alif. In regular Arabic, we don't add it, but in the text of the Quran, we will always see it, as we can see it over here. So that's why here there is no extra alif. So we know that the noon has been dropped because it is mudaf, and there is no extra alif added to that. So it will be Muslimu al-Yabani. قال تعالى في سورة البقرة. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said in Surah Al-Baqarah, أم كنتم شهداء إذ حضر يعقوب الموت إذ قال لبنيه. As we can see here now, لبنيه. It was banuna, banina, banina. It was banina, and then the noon has been dropped, so it has become لبنيه ما تعبدون من بعدي قالوا نعبد إلهك. We will worship your God. نعبد إلهك وإله آبائك إبراهيم وإسماعيل وإسحاق إلها واحدا ونحن له مسلمون. فقوله تعالى لبنيه أي لإبنائه. So that means he said to his sons. So لبنيه is basically the sound plural, which always comes on the pattern of una, ina, and لإبنائه is basically broken plural, and that's why there is no concept of noon being dropped or not. So here it means أي is harf tafsir, which means that is. لبنيه, that is لأبنائه, to his sons. Now, if we look at the text, and inshallah, if we just analyze the text, we will also be able to understand the Arabic language and also be able to appreciate the beauty of the Quran. Kuntum, we know that kana always has ismu kana and khabaru kana. So here kana is a verb, antum is ismu kana, and khabaru kana is always mansub, as we see. So that's why it is shuhada, which is the plural of shahidun. So ismu kana will be antum and shuhada will be khabaru kana. If you remember the example, kana Allahu aliman hakima. So kana Allahu, ismu jalala is marfu, and aliman hakima is mansub. Similarly, kuntum, antum is marfu, and shuhada is mansub. If when hadara came, Yaqub alayhi salam, al-mautu, maut. When death came to Yaqub alayhi salam. If qala, when he said libanihi, to his sons, and we know that qala always comes with the preposition of li, and that's why it is if qala libanihi, when he said to his sons. Ma is ma al-mawsula, means what? Ta'buduna, you will worship, min ba'di, after me. So ba'di, as we can see, is also mudaf ilayh. Qalu, they said, na'budu, we will worship, ilahaka, your Lord. So ilahaka is also mudaf ilayh. Wa is, as we know, harf atuf. Wa ilaha, and matuf ilayh is ilaha. Wa ilaha abaika. and God of your parents, and God of your forefathers or fathers. So abaika, because ilaha is mudaf, that's why abai is mudaf ilayh. So that's why it has kasra. Abun, and the plural of abun is abaun. Abaika is also mudaf ilayh. Now we have Ibrahima wa Ismaila wa Ishaqa. So all of them, and they are badal of abai. So abai is majroor, and Ibrahima wa Ismaila wa Ishaqa, they are also majroor, but we know that they are mamnu min as-sarf, and that's why they don't have kasra. So now also from this ilahan wahidan, and here ilahan is badal from ilaha. So this is badal from ilaha, whereas Ibrahima wa Ismaila wa Ishaqa, it is badal from abaika, substitute of abaika. Ilahan one and wahidan is used for further emphasis. وَنَحْنُ لَهُ مُسْلِمُونَ wa, and نحن we, lahu jar majroor, to him muslimun are the ones who submit. وَنَحْنُ لَهُ مُسْلِمُونَ, and to him we submit. Now, after grammatically analyzing, we can also see that the message of the Quran is all about Tawheed. Now, if you see over here, Yaqub alayhi salam is not asking about the wealth that he is leaving for his children. He's not worried about their future. He's not worried about how much wealth he is leaving for them. He is worried about their aqidah. And that's why he is asking them about who will they worship, and they are saying that they will worship his Lord, which is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So learning Quran will also teach us Tawheed, and it will also teach us that Tawheed is the most important thing in our lives. This is what was taught by all the messengers of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, from Adam alayhi salam up to Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. All of them taught us about Tawheed. Afahimtum? Did you understand? At-tullabu, the students. Na'am, yes. Fahimna jayyidan. We understood it well. Fahimna, we understood jayyidan well. Al-mudarrisu, the teacher. Ya hamidu, O Hamid. Hati ayatan, give one ayah. Tahwi, which consists, muthannan, dual. Hudhifat is dropped, nunahu, its noon, lil idafati, in possession. So the teacher is asking Hamid, hati ayatan tahwi muthannan hudhifat nunahu lil idafati, give one ayah whose noon has been dropped for idafa. Hamidun qala ta'ala li Musa, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said to Musa alayhi salam, Fi surati Taha, in surah Taha, Inni, indeed I, Ana, I, Rabbuka, am your Lord. So here, Inni, and we know that Inna always has Ismu Inna, so Ya al-Mutakallim will be Ismu Inna, and Ana Rabbuka will be Khabaru Inna. I am your Lord. Fakhla, so it was basically Khala'a Yakhlau Ikhla, remove or take off. And when we have fa before it, then it is Hamzatul Wasl. That's why we will say fakhla. So remove na'layka. So as we can see here over here, it was na'laynika, and the noon has been dropped because na'layn is used as mudaf and ka is mudaf ilayh. And why it is na'lay? Because ikhla is fail plus file, and it is maf'ul bihi. Innaka, indeed you are, bil wadil muqaddasi Tawa, in the sacred valley of Tawa. So indeed I am your Lord, so take off your shoes, you are in the sacred valley of Tawa. Ahsanta, well done. Ya Harithu, O Harith, hati mithalan, bring another example, or bring an example. Min al-hadithi al-nabawi, from hadith al-nabawi al-sharifi. So now the teacher is asking Harith to give an example from Hadith al-Nabawi al-Sharif. Al-Harithu, qawlun nabiyyi sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam, li Aishata, to Aisha radiyallahu anha. So the saying of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam to Aisha radiyallahu anha, Ya Aishatu, O Aisha, inna, indeed. So aynaya, aynun, one eye, aynani, two eyes, and aynaini will be the mansub, and aynaini will be majroor. And when it is used as mudaf, then the noon will be dropped, so it will be aynaya. So that's why it is mansub, because ismu inna is always mansub. Both of my eyes, aynaya, tanamani, sleep. So both of my eyes sleep, and aynaya is mubtada and tanamani is khabar. And we know that mubtada and khabar are always equal in number and gender. Aynun in Arabic is feminine. Aynani, two eyes. So that's why mubtada is two eyes and it's feminine. That's why khabar is tanamani, which is the dual of tanam, tanama, tanamani. So that's why we can see over here, it is also dual. Wala yanamu qalbi, and my heart doesn't sleep. So as we can see over here, wa is harf atf, la is for negation, yanamu, sleeps, qalbi, my heart. So qalbi is also mudaf mudaf alayh, and yanamu, this is, so over here, this is basically verbal sentence. Yanamu is verb, and qalbi is fail plus file, is file. So yanamu is fail and qalbi is file. Wala yanamu qalbi, and my heart doesn't sleep. Muttafaqun alayh, so it is agreed upon by Imam Bukhari and Imam Muslim, rahimahumullah. Then we have ahsanta, well done. Yadkhulu, he enters, wa yusallimu, and he greets, thumma yaqulu, then he says, who? Al-muraqibu, the controller. So now we have the controller of the exams, or the controller has arrived over here, and al-muraqibu, the controller, yadkhulu, he enters, wa yusallimu, and he greets, thumma yaqulu. Of course, when we say sallama yusallimu, and then we say sallama ala, that means to say assalamu alaikum. So here it is understood that wa yusallimu means he says assalamu alaikum, thumma yaqulu, and then he says ayyuhal ikhwatu, dear brothers, ayyu darsin lakum fil hissataini al-akhirataini, which lesson do you have? Ayyu, which, darsin, lesson, lakum, to you, so you have fi, in, al-hissataini, two periods, al-akhirataini, last. Which lesson do you have in the last two periods? So we know that fi is harf jar, so that's why al-hissataini is majroor. This is mawsuf, and al-akhirataini is sifa. So both of them end with the sound of aini, aini. Tani, taini, taini. Hissatun, hissatani, hissataini. Kiltahuma, so here is the introduction of kiltahuma. First we have learned about kilahuma, and here it is kiltahuma. And we know that kiltahuma is used for feminine, and we know that hissataini is feminine. That's why we have kiltahuma. Both of them, lil Quran al-Karimi, are for Quran Kareem. Al-Muraqibu, the controller. Mudarrisul Qur'ani, so it was basically, as you can see, it was Mudarrisuna, and the noon has been dropped. Why? Because it is used as mudaf. So that's why it is Mudarrisul Qur'an al-Karimi. The teachers of Quran Kareem, fijtimain, are in a meeting. And ijtima, this is Hamzatul Wasl, and we know that when we connect it, we don't read it. So it will be fijtimain, are in a meeting, ma'al mudiri, with the manager. The teachers of the Quran are in a meeting with the manager. A meeting, because it is ijtima'in. Fayumkinukum, amkana yumkinu imkanan. So it is possible for you. And we know that mim, when we connect it with al, then it is connected with dhamma. Fayumkinukumul insirafu. So it is possible for you to leave. Insarafa yansarifu, insirafan means to leave. So it is possible for you to leave. Ba'da, after, and we know that it is used as special mudaf. That's why al-hissati al-thalithati is mudaf ilayh. So it is possible for you to leave after the third period. Tamarinu. Now we move on to the exercises. Tamarinu is mamnu min as-sarf. That's why it will not take tanween. it will be mafa'ilu on the pattern of mafa'ilu. That's why it does not take tanween. Tamarinu, exercises. Ajib, answer. Anil as'ilatil atiyati, answer the following questions. Ajib anil as'ilatil atiyati, answer the following questions. Man, who? So man is mubtada. Alladhi, we know ism al-mawsul, which is used to connect two ideas or two words. Alladhi always has a sila. Sila means that after alladhi or after allati or after alladina, there is always a complete sentence. Either it is a verbal sentence or it is a nominal sentence. In this case, we can see that it is a verbal sentence. Why? Because it starts with the verb. Nasiya, he forgot. Who forgot? Manilladhi, who forgot? Manilladhi, who is the one? Nasiya forgot. Daftarayhi, both of his notebooks. So always alladhi is mawsul, so it always needs a sila. It always needs the dhamir that goes back to it. So in nasiya, we say that there is a dhamir of huwa, and huwa refers back to alladhi. It refers back to alladhi. So manilladhi mubtada and alladhi nasiya daftarayhi is khabar. Who forgot both of his notebooks? Daftarayhi, it was daftarayni, and the noon has been dropped. So it is daftarayhi. Huwa Majidun. Majid. So Majid forgot both of his notebooks. Question number 2. Lima la yahduru akhawa mas'udin. Lima is basically, as we know, that it is also used to ask a question. And la is used for negative or negation. Yahduru means to attend. And yahduru is fail, and akhawa is fa'il. Mas'udin, two brothers of Mas'ud, and we can see over here it was basically akhawani, and the noon has been dropped. And why it is akhawani? Because it is in the place of the fa'il. That's why it is marfu. We need to remember that the dual is always marfu by alif, with alif, and it is mansub and majroor with ya. So it will be akhawani, and the noon has been dropped. Lima la yahduru akhawa Mas'udin. Why the brothers of, or two brothers of Mas'ud are not attending the classes? La yahduru akhawa Mas'udin. Mas'ud's brother are not attending, or Mas'ud's two brothers are not attending. Li'anna, because kilayhima, both of them, maridun, are sick. Li'anna, we know that li'anna is from the sisters of inna. That's why it always has ismu inna, and ismu inna is always mansub. So it was basically kilaha, but it has changed into kilay because it is declinable. So that's why it has become kilay. Li'anna kilayhima, so kilayhima is mudaf mudaf alayh, and maridun is the khabar of kilayhima. So this is mubtada and khabar. And if we say li'anna, for li'anna it will be ismu li'anna, it will be khabaru li'anna. Li'anna kilayhima maridun, because both of them are sick. And if you remember, in the beginning of the lesson we have discussed that kilahuma wa kilayhima, they are dual, they give the meaning of dual, but they are treated as singular, and that's why their khabar is also singular. So the khabar is here, kilayhima maridun wa laysa maridani. Kilayhima maridun, both of them are sick. Aina mudarrisu al-Quran al-Karim, where are the teachers of Quran al-Karim? And we know that aina is dharf. Dharf cannot be mubtada, so it is khabar, and this is mubtada. Mudarrisu al-Quran al-Karim is mubtada, so it was mudarrisuna, the noon has been dropped and it has become mudarrisu. Aina, so that's why it is marfu. And we know that the sound masculine plural is always marfu with waw. Aina mudarrisu al-Quran al-Karim, where are the teachers of the Quran al-Karim? Mudarrisu al-Quran al-Karim, the teachers of Quran Karim, fi ijtima'in, are in a meeting, ma'al mudiri, with the manager. So we will say that mudarrisu al-Quran al-Karim is mubtada, and after that, when we want to translate it, we have to put is, are, am. So now when we put are, because it is plural, so the first part that comes before are will be mubtada, and the second part that comes after are will be khabar. So that's why we will say Mudarris al-Quran al-Kareem is mubtada, fi ijtima'in ma'al mudiri is khabar. So the teachers of the Quran are in a meeting with the manager. Ta'ammal ma yali, reflect on the following. Ta'ammalna min qabl, we have already reflected upon it in the beginning of the lesson, and we have seen that yuhdafu tanweenu in the idafati, for a singular noun, the noon is dropped when it is used in idafa, when it is used as mudaf. And the example is here. So because it is kitabullahi, it is kitabun is mudaf and ismul jalala is mudaf alayh, that's why it has only dhamma on it. Yuhdafu at-tanweenu, because tanween is masculine, that's why the verb that we have is also masculine, which is yuhdafu. Tuhdafu noon al-muthanna. So noon is, because it's an alphabet of the Arabic language, all alphabets of Arabic language from alif to ya, they are all feminine. So noon is also feminine. So basically noon means the letter noon, basically it means. So because it's feminine, that's why the verb that we have over here is also feminine. Tuhdafu noon al-muthanna, the noon of muthanna is dropped, and we know that this is passive. Why it is passive? Because it starts with dhamma, and the second last letter has fatha, so that means it is passive, and that's why after that the noun is always marfu, and this is called naibul fa'il. So it was basically ra'aytu bintaini, I saw two girls, and when we use it as mudaf, we know that the noon will be dropped. So here the noon has been dropped. It was aina bintani, and when we say aina binta hamidin, the noon will be dropped because it is used as mudaf. So when it is marfu, it will be binta, and when it is mansub and majroor, it will be bintai, so the noon will be dropped. وَنُونُ الْجَمْعِ الْمُذَكَّرِ السَّالِمِ in الْإِضَافَةِ, and similarly the noon of Jam' Mudhakkar Salim is also dropped when it is used as mudaf. So we have Ja al-Mudarrisuna, the teachers came, but when we want to say the teachers of fiqh, so it will be Ja'a Mudarrisul Fiqhi, the noon has to be dropped. And here, because Mudarrisuna is marfu, why it is marfu? Because Ja'a is fail and Mudarrisu is fa'il, so that's why it is marfu, and it is marfu with wow. And it will be mansub and majroor with ina sound. Una ina. Abhathu anil mudarrisina, I am looking for the teachers. So because an is harf jar, and after that the noun will be majroor, and when it is used in mudaf ilayh, when it is used in idafa, then the noon will be dropped, so it will be abhathu an mudarrisi al-fiqhi, I am looking for the teachers of fiqh. This text is very interesting, and it could be the hardest text of all these books, or could be the hardest text of the Arabic language. So we will go through this text, and I will just give you the breakdown, and then we will translate it as well. Istakhrij, we have discussed about it many times, that it is fi'l al-amr, and hamza is hamzatul wasl. So istakhrij, extract. Min ad-darsi, we know it is jar majroor, and normally jar majroor are called muta'alliq about fail. So normally we know that when we use them in the construction, or when we analyze the text, we don't consider it as the part of the analysis. So istakhrij is fail plus fa'il, and then we have al-asma'a. So this is maf'ul bihi, and that's why maf'ul bihi is mansub. It has fatha. Then it has two adjectives for it. Adjective number one, al-muthannata, which is the plural of muthanna. So that means duals. Wal majmu'ata, and the plurals, which is the plural of jama'. So al-asma'a is mansub. That's why the sifa is also has to be mansub as well. So that's why sifat al-ula wa sifat al-thaniya, both of them are mansub. So istakhrij al-asma'a al-muthannata wal-majmu'ata. So basically what we have to do, we have to extract the dual nouns and the plural nouns, Jam'a mudhakkarin. Jam'a mudhakkarin is mudaf ilayh. Why it is mansub? It is mansub because al-majmu'a is ism al-maf'ul. Ism al-maf'ul is also amil. It also does the work of amil. So because of this, it is amil. So this one will be jam'a mudhakkarin. It will be maf'ul bihi for majmu'ata. So it is maf'ul bihi for majmu'ata, jam'a mudhakkarin. And saliman is basically hal. Saliman is hal. Al-mahdhufata, this is a very interesting, it is called an-nat as-sababi. An-nat as-sababi, so al-mahdhufata is nat as-sababi, and it is also passive. So we know that when a verb is passive, it always has na'ibul fa'il. So na'ibul fa'il is nunu huma, so it is a na'ibul fa'il, whose noon has been dropped, lil idafati, for the possession. So the text is difficult, but the question itself is very easy. So basically what we have to do is takhrij, we have to extract from the lesson the nouns, the dual nouns and the plural nouns for jam'a mudhakkar salimi, for the sound masculine plural, whose noon has been dropped for idafa or for possession. So first we look at the dual nouns, al-asma'u al-muthannatu. So al-asma'u is the broken plural of ismun, and muthannatu is the broken plural of muthanna. So this is mawsuf and this is sifa, both of them are equal. So al-asma'u muthannatu, so they are equal in number and gender. Why we say equal in number and gender? Because the broken plural is always treated as singular feminine. So this is singular feminine, and this is also feminine as well, singular feminine. Al-mahdhufatu, this is not as-sababi, wa nunuhuma, whose noon has been dropped. So qalamaya, it was basically qalamani, and the noon has been dropped. And we have discussed that al-ya al-mutakallim, when we have alif before it, then it takes fatha, so that it is qalamaya. Qalamaya, it was basically qalamay plus ya al-mutakallim. So when we have iltaqa'u sakinain, we put them together using tashdid, so that's why. So there are two reasons why ya al-mutakallim takes fatha. Number one, when there is alif before it, so it will take fatha. And number two, when there is sakin before it, it also takes fatha. So it is qalamaya. So it was basically qalamaini, and the noon has been dropped. The thing that we have to focus on, that the noon has been dropped. Daftaraka, again, daftaranika, and noon has been dropped because this is mudaf and ka is mudaf alayh. Similarly, daftarayka, it was daftarainika, so the noon has been dropped. Daftaraya, both of my notebooks. Daftara Hamidin, two of Hamid's notebooks. Daftara Zamilika, two notebooks of your colleague or your classmate. Akhawaka, two of your brothers. Rak'at al-Fajri, two rak'ahs of Fajr. Na'alayka, both of your shoes. Aynaya, both of my eyes. Al-Asma al-Majmu'atu, and now we have the plural nouns. Jam'a mudhakkarin saliman. So jam'a mudhakkarin, the sound masculine plural. Saliman al-mahdhufatu nunuha, whose noon has been dropped. So the nouns of sound masculine plural whose noon has been dropped. We have over here Muslimu al-Yabani, Muslims of Japan, and this alif is for al, not for Muslimu. We know that this is min ghayri al-Quran, this is not the part of the Quran, that's why there will be no extra alif. Muslimu al-Yabani, Muslims of Japan, li banihi, to all of his sons, wa mudarrisul Quran al-Karimi, the teachers of Quran al-Karim. So Muslimuna, the noon has been dropped, and it is marfu because it has waw. Bani, it is majroor because we have harf jar before it. It was banina, so the noon of banina has been dropped. And similarly, mudarrisu, it was basically mudarrisuna al-Qurani, so the noon has been dropped. So it is also marfu. Why? Because it is marfu with waw and mansub and majroor with ya. Ta'ammal, now we have to reflect. Also, this is fi'l al-amr, so we know that fi'l al-amr is always sakin, the ending is always majzoom. But when we connect it with al, then we connect it with kasra. And this is fail plus file, so that's why this is maf'ul bihi, and that's why it should take fatha. تأمل الأمثلة الآتية. Reflect on the following examples. للمثنى, for the dual. وجمع المذكر السالم المحذوفة نونهما, and for the sound masculine plural whose noon has been dropped للإضافة, for the possession or in إضافة. اغسل, fail plus file, you wash. يديك, both of your hands. ورجليك, and both of your feet. So wash both of your hands and both of your feet. So it was yadainika wa rijlainika, and the noon has been dropped. Why? Because yadaika and rijlaika, they are mudaf, and ka is mudaf ilayh. Whenever the attached pronouns are used with the noun, the construction will be always mudaf ilayh. I will repeat once again. Whenever attached pronouns like hu, huma, hum, ha, huma, hunna, ka, kuma, kum, ki, kuma, kunna, e, and na, whenever they are used with a noun, the construction will be always mudaf ilayh. Ibna aliyin. So it was basically ibnani, two sons of Ali. So the noon has been dropped. So ibna aliyin, two sons of Ali fil jamiati, are in the university, or yes, are in the university. Wa bintahu, and two of his daughters, it was bintani, the noon has been dropped, fil madrasati, are in a school. And this is a very simple sentence. Ibna aliyin fil jamiati will be mubtada, and wa bintahu fil madrasati is khabar. Babani, so the noon has to be dropped because it is mudaf. Babani, baba al masjidi, two doors of the masjid. Mubtada, maftuhani, are open. Very simple constructions. Qara'tu, I read. Fi hadhihi al-majallati, in this magazine. Maqalan, an article. And about Muslimi al-Hindi, about the Muslims of India. So it was Muslimina, and noon has been dropped. And why it is Muslimina? Because after harf jar an, we have to have ina sound. We cannot have the una sound. The una sound will only come when it is marfu, but when it is mansub and majroor, it will be always ina. And when it is ina, and when it is used as mudaf, the noon will be dropped. So that's why it is an Muslimi al Hindi, about the. So I قرأت في هذه المجلة مقالا عن مسلمي الهندي. I read an article about the Muslims of India in this magazine. Uridu, I want, fail plus file. An, to, and we know that an is a harf nasib, so it gives nasb to the verb. So that's why it will be an abiya. I want to sell. Uridu an abiya. It is always mabni, sorry, so it is mabni ala sukun. Uridu an abiya, I want to sell darrajatayya, two of my bicycle. Hataini, these. So hataini, as we know that this is the feminine dual of hadihi, hatani, hataini, because darrajatayya is majroor, or it is mansub. That's why hataini is also mansub. And this is basically ismul ishara. So ismul ishara, when it comes after the mudaf ilayh construction, that means we are using it as an ishara. But when it comes before mudaf ilayh construction, then it becomes mubtada and khabar. So here we are trying to say, uridu an abiya darajatayya hataini, I want to sell these two bicycles of mine. So because you're saying I want to sell these two bicycles of mine, and that's why the ishara has to come after mudaf ilayh. Ma ara ahadan min mudarrisi at-tafsiri. Ma ara, I don't see. Normally ma comes with the past tense for negation. Ma dhahabtu ila al-madrasati, I didn't go to the school. But when we use it with the present tense, that means the present tense, the meaning will be restricted only to the current situation. Only to the current situation. So ma ara ahadan, I don't see anyone. When? Alan, now. If you say la ara ahadan, that means I don't always see. I don't always see. لا أرى أحدا من مدرسي التفسير. But when you say ما أرى أحدا من مدرسي التفسير, it will be translated as that I don't see the teachers of tafsir alan right now. So I don't see the teachers of tafsir. And it was basically mudarrisina, and the noon has been dropped. Yadrusu, studies. Who studies? We have to look for the fa'il. في هذه المدرسة, in this school, and we know that jar majroor cannot be the fa'il, cannot be the doer. So that means miyata talibin, 200 students. So that means yadrusu is fail and miyata talibin is fa'il. That's why it is miyata, and basically it was miyatani, and the noon has to be dropped because it is mudaf. Alif is the symbol of marfu for dual. For muthanna, alif is the symbol of, or it is the sign of fa'il. So it will be yadrusu miyata talibin fi hadhihi al-madrasati. 200 students study in this school. Normally, when jar majroor comes before the fa'il, basically it is used for emphasis. Emphasis. Lillahi ma fis samawati wa ma fil ard. Lillahi has come in the beginning, jar majroor, for emphasis. Ishtaraitu, I bought, hadhihi al-arikata, this sofa or this couch, bimiyatay riyalin, for 200 reals. So we know because we have harf jar ba, that's why it will be mimiyatay, tani, taini, taini, and the noon has been dropped. It was miyatay riyalin. Also, we have learned that miyatun is always used as mudaf, and mudaf alayh will be always singular. So that's why even if we have miyata, it will be talibin. Mudaf alayh is always singular. Sahabtu al-yawma, I withdrew. Al-fay, so sahabtu is fail plus file, al-yawma is dharf. Al-fay ri'alin, 2,000 reals. Min al-masrifi, from the bank. And masrif, as you know, we have learned that this is a dharf al-makan. So I withdrew 2,000 reals from the bank today. Also, it was al-faini, and the noon has been dropped. So please remember that alfun wa miyatun, these two words are always used as mudaf. That's number one. And number two, mudaf ilayh is always singular, and it is majroor. We know that mudaf ilayh is always majroor. So mudaf ilayh, and it is always singular. So that's why it is riyalin, and this is talibin. Ghammada. Ghammada yughammidu, to close the eyes. This is fail. Now we have to look for the fa'il. We know that the fa'il is always marfu, so it has to be al-maridu. It's a typing error, so it cannot be al-maridi because fa'il is always marfu. Ghammad al-maridu aynayhi. The patient closed both of his eyes, so aynayni, and the noon has been dropped. As Allah says in the Quran, alam naj'al lahu aynayn wa lisana wa shafatayn wa hadaynahu najdayn, aynayn shafatayn. So that's why it is aynani, it's one eye, aynayni, two eyes, and shafataini, two lips. But we know that when it is used as mudaf construction, and then the noon has to be dropped. We cannot drop the noon all the time. We have to only drop it when it is used as mudaf alayh. So if we look at the verse, alam yaj'al lahu aynayn wa lisanan wa shafatayn, we might be thinking like, why noon is not dropped? The noon doesn't have to be dropped when it is used like in the regular construction. It will be only dropped when it is used in mudaf alayh construction. Aina abawaka ya anasu, where are both of your parents, O Anas? Abawaka, why it is wa? Because abawani, abawaini, abawaini. So it is marfu, and it is mubtada, and aina is khabar. Now, what is the meaning of abawa? Basically, if you see here, abun wa ummun equals abawani. So abun, father, wa ummun. So it means abawani, that means both of the parents. Now, why it is abawani? Because we know that in Arabic, the masculine gender is given priority, and it is only for the sake of the language. So when we have a masculine and a feminine, And the noun will always be used for the masculine. For example, we have in the Quran, Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu, ayyuhalladhina. Alladhina is used for a masculine plural. Would that mean that this khitab is only to the Muslim or the mu'mineen who are masculine? Of course not. It includes all men and women. But as I told you, that the usloob of the Arabic language is that when two genders are mixed, masculine and feminine, then the noun of the masculine gender will always be used. So that's why it is abun wa umun equals abawani. Similarly, walidun wa walidatun equals walidani. So abawani, abawaini, abawaini, walidani, walidaini, walidaini. Aina abawaka ya anasu? Where are both of your parents, O Anas? And then we have one more example. Qala ta'ala fi surat al-Masad. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said in Surat al-Masad, it has two names, al-Masad wa Surat al-Lahab, as we know. Tabbat yada abi lahabin wa tab. So tabbat, okay, let's look at the breakdown of this beautiful verse of the Quran as well. We know tabbat is a verb which is used for the feminine. Tabba, tabba, tabbu, tabbat. Whenever you see ta sakina, this is ta utanith, yani ta of feminine. Dhahaba, dhahaba, dhahabu, dhahabat, feminine. Daraba, daraba, darabu, darabat. Tabbat. The regular construction, first look at the regular construction. Yadani, abu, lahabun. So we know that yadani is marfu construction because it is ani. Ani is always marfu. Abu is marfu, abu, aba, abi. We know that this is from the 5 nouns. So this is from them like akhu, akha, akhi, dhu, dha, di, abu, aba, abi. And lahabun is also marfu. But when we use this construction in mudaf, then first of all, the noon will be dropped. So it becomes yada. Why we have tabbat? Because we know that hands in Arabic are feminine. So that's why the verb that we have to use is also feminine. Tabbat yada. Okay, abi. Why it is abi? Because abu is marfu, aba is mansub, and abi is majroor. And we know that mudaf ilayh is always majroor. And lahabin is also mudaf ilayh. And that's why it is majroor. Basically, abi is both. It is mudaf ilayh for yada, and it is mudaf for lahabin. We have discussed it in the previous lesson in detail. So that's why it is majroor. So tabbat yada, it is not majroor, it is mudaf ilayh. So it is tabbat yada abi lahabin wa tabba. Tabba is used for singular masculine. So what is tabba used for? Of course, tabba is used for abi lahab. So look at the beauty of the Arabic language. When we talk about the hands, we use tabbat because it is feminine. And when we talk about the masculine, we will say tabba. Tabbat yada abi lahabin wa tab. One more thing that we need to appreciate as well, that we know that fi'l madi, the past tense, is also used to make dua. For example, radiya, radiyallahu anhu, rahimahullah, hafidhahullah. So it is used to make dua. Also in Arabic, the past tense can be used to curse someone. So here, past tense has been used to curse Abu Lahab, to curse him. So that's why we can see, may the hands of Abu Lahab be ruined. So that is a curse. And ruined is he, and he is ruined as well. And also, past tense means something has been done. So, yani, ruined is he is already ruined, yani, subhanallah. And this surah was revealed when Abu Lahab was alive. He wasn't even dead, he was alive. So this is the richness of the beauty of the Quran, and this is the truthfulness of the beauty of the Quran, that he could have accepted Islam, but he couldn't accept Islam because Quran is Allah's kalam and it is vital, it is always true. So that's why even if he was alive and it was revealed, he wasn't able to accept Islam. And that shows the truthfulness of the Quran. And this verse also shows the beauty of the Arabic language, where we have so many rules of the Arabic language. Tabbat is feminine because of yada. Tabba is masculine because of Abu Lahab. And yada, the noon has been dropped. Abi is the majroor form of Abu, and Lahabin is also majroor. And also here the past tense has been used for cursing someone. Let's make dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to help us understand the language of the Quran, understand it, live by it, act upon it, and then teach it to others as well. Subhanaka Allahumma wa bihamdika ashhadu an la ilaha illa ant astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.